You might have to consent to the recording. Okay, there we go. Start streaming. All right, Brett.
Morning.
Good morning. For
it's coffee.
For everyone. Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Cheers. Brett, you and I usually talk early in the morning, not on a Saturday though. And this would be late for us, but anyway, interesting couple of weeks here, and I think we've got a lot left. So, as a coach, as my coach for 3+ years now, how would you frame up what's going on?
How would I frame up what's going on? Obviously, I think everybody is past the point of any kind of denial that we're in a pandemic, right? And I'm not here to act like I'm the health expert by any means. I think what, if I'm reading your question correctly, is what's going on more in terms of the real estate industry, right?
So absolutely. National news. I'll go to Tony Fauci.
Yeah. The national news is the national news. I will say, though, one of the things that I've learned, and I think is probably important to point out, is I think all of us are dealing with this in our own way. And the way I feel about it and the way my wife feel about it are even a little bit different, right? And the anxiety level I might bring to the table versus the anxiety level my wife might bring to the table might be a little bit different, right? So I think just being sensitive to everybody's coming to this with their own perspective is probably an important point to just kind of start off with, right? So
yeah,
you may say something or I may say something and it's our opinion and it might contradict somebody else's perspective, but I think that's okay. We're all coming to this with our own history and let's rock and roll, right? So
sure.
Question, what in regards to the real estate industry, right? Like, what does this look like, right? I think one of the coolest things about our profession right now is our reality, for the most part, is still in our own hands. You know, I have family and that worked in the service industry that is completely out of work right now. I have extended family of employees that are out of work at the moment, right? Just because of their circumstances. So I feel blessed to know that nobody can tell us in the independent contractor world whether that we're in business or out of business. So we all get to choose to be in business, right? And I think that's a
good point. That's a good point.
It's a cool reality to our industry in a weird time, right?
Well, and I mean, I saw the results this week. Our agents that are out there making phone calls, checking on their clients, they're doing stuff. I mean, we had a listing go live, and with hours, the same agent put it under contract this week.
Yeah.
With the market falling the way it did, with all kinds of things. And sure, we've gotten cancellations, and I've personally gotten cancellations. You know, so I feel it too. It's just that there's people that are choosing, that are able, I should say, and then choosing to take action. And then there's others who, some people just can't. I mean, some people truly have a situation where they have to care for children, both work and they're struggling to trade that off. That's a challenge for a lot of people, but paralyzed in this I don't know what to do thing, that's the danger zone, right?
Yeah, of course. And it's funny, I brought my Keller coffee cup to the coffee here. So if I drink with my left hand, it says never give up. If I drink with my right hand, it says never settle, right? And I think they're good messages right now. And kind of lead in, what do I see as actual threats to the real estate industry? I think leadership, we can't paint a rosy picture and never talk about the reality of a circumstance, but we talk about what we do with the circumstance. So I think it's fair to say here's what I see as a threat to us right now. I see a threat as foreign buyers and sellers. So if somebody is buying property from overseas and can't travel to a closing, and that closing gets disrupted because a bank needs a wet signature kind of thing, I think that could be a threat, right? I coach some people down in Miami where a really large percentage of their market is foreign buyers and sellers, and they're very disrupted by this. Where I don't know, you can speak to the New Orleans market. I live in Atlanta and I own some offices in Dallas, Texas, and we don't have a astronomical percentage of foreign buyers. We have our fair share, obviously, but so do I think that could be a threat to the industry. I think layoffs can be a big threat to our industry. So if we start to see large corporations laying people off, that can in turn trickle down to the real estate industry, right? People.
Sure. I mean, they're expecting 2 million.
Job, right?
Yeah, they're expecting 2 million jobless claims next week when there's usually 1,800 maybe.
Yep. And then obviously if the government does what they've done in California or
New Orleans.
Yeah, they shut the whole thing down. That could be a threat. Do I think it's a long-term threat? No. I think what we're looking at is a recession, and that's where the conversation of shift is coming in, right? So I think that's the reality of our circumstance. Here's the thing. I believe, and this is my perspective, I certainly am an optimist, and I believe that we're going to see a slight little slowdown just because of people not knowing how to respond. And then I think we're going to have a lot of pent up demand that'll pick up really quickly as soon as the world starts to move back to normal here.
It's time for a new skill set, right?
Oh, yeah.
We were all kind of swimming naked, taking orders, and now the tide pulled out, right? And now it's time. Skills are being revealed.
Well, and you brought up a good point, skill set. So one of the benefits of the circumstances we're going through right now in real estate is the value of the real estate agent is becoming greater right now. So what happens in economic cycles in our industry is when the market gets really good, the consumer, right or wrong, doesn't always view the real estate agent with the highest sense of value. And when the market gets really tight, they view our expertise in a higher regard.
Right.
So right now,
when the deal's more challenging, we have to have more answers right now.
Yeah.
And different answers.
We need our advice and opinions more now than ever.
Experience and skills matter exactly more now than ever. And it's the clients are expecting it. And we've seen brokerages that are younger brokerages that are must be telling their agents, hey, just withdraw all your listings. Advise your clients to just withdraw. You don't want to rack up days on market because we're seeing them come off the MLS. And then our people are calling and we're taking listings this week. I mean, we took a lot of listings this week. And so did other people in the MLS. But we really went after our unfair share, and I'm proud of our people for doing that. But it's not business as usual, right? It's time to pivot. It's time to adjust and change these conversations and change our mindset, because that brokerage advising somebody, just tell your clients take their deals offline for a little while. We'll pick up in a few weeks when this blows over. I personally think we're going to a new normal. I think you and I aren't going to be hugging and
we can
when we say hello next time. Well, no, I mean, I'm thinking about mega camp. When I see you and I usually, shake hands, hug. I think for a long time, while we hopefully will be at mega camp, but in August, at the end of August. But also, I think the behaviors will change drastically. I think the parties with the close events for a long time There's, short of a vaccine, which depending on who you listen to is either impossible or happening immediately. Um, you know, I think the world's changed a bit, so it's time to change as well. It's time to pivot. So let's talk about pivoting. Um,
Yeah.
how do we need
I would
to?
define pivot is take our circumstance and create our own reality.
Okay, let's take that into some actionable conversation there.
Sure.
So what does that look like?
Okay. So obviously the book Shift is very relevant right now. If you haven't read it, or you should probably go reread it, right? I would be challenging you as your coach to be doing a Shift book club and really diving deep into those things. So to kind of start with a big picture of what that is, when the real estate market is good and we're in a seller's market, the fastest way to build a real estate business is through marketing, right? And spending money to make money and
Yeah, I love buying leads from Zillow.
leveraging, well, yeah, yes, but leveraging money to speak to as many people as possible, right? And
Mm-hmm.
do that in a seller's market. You do that in a time of good economics, right? And when Gary Keller wrote The Shift, it was written, he had the recession in 2008, 2009, 2010, right? And what the fundamental change is instead of marketing being your focus in real estate, it really should be prospecting based. So let me back up for a second. You had the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, which is, if you kind of understand the real estate industry, if you looked at the real estate industry as a whole, you're going to see chaos and all these people doing all these different things. And then what happens is you put that chaos into research, and research brings the chaos down to what best practices are. So in a real estate world, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book is the best practice of what real estate looks like, right? And
Right.
as a team leader, you're the keeper of best practices in your office, right? So
Certainly aspire to.
so the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book is the fundamental way to build a real estate business through best practices. Best practices assume that the market is a balanced or hot market. So what happens is you take the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, and the Shift book is the addendum to the best practices of how to operate when the
During
market
a time like this. Yeah.
shifts, right? So it's not either or, it's the addendum to best practices. So having said that, best practices is a marketing based business in normal times. In times that we're in right now, the addendum says not necessarily abandon marketing, but you need to be prospecting based. So
Right.
what does that look like right now?
Well, can we talk about really quickly what it's not? Because I think let's talk about that. I mean, how many emails, Brett, have you gotten? It says our response to COVID-19, and it's like some coffee shop using their Square email list that you went to in 2011. I mean, there's a Delta Airlines or Southwest telling us they clean their planes every night. Like, that's not like, is that timely, important to me right now, helping me protect my family when we're at a very low, level in Maslow's hierarchy of needs? I mean, if you think about that triangle that you always have me drawing things, um, we're at the very base levels of that triangle in these early innings. I feel like it's about security, and
Yeah,
it's about feeding our. It's about security for our family, and it's health and security of our food. I mean, people are out there. They're all the reason they're hoarding. I think is because they're trying to feel secure, right?
yep.
So how do I help my clients feel secure? That's the way I look at this. If
Uh,
I can help them.
here would be my opinion on that. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing if that's all you do. So if I send an email saying I'm a an airliner and I clean my planes, in a way that's marketing, right? I'm putting a message out to a lot of people, uh,
Hmm.
but it doesn't necessarily change my reality right now. Because remember, the addendum says in times of in tough times, prospecting is what's going to change your reality. In good times, marketing can change your reality, but in times of tough times, prospecting is going to change your reality. It doesn't say don't ever do any kind of marketing. So I think an email is still important. I think social media is still important. I think even if you put I'm looking at your desk behind you. You got all those mail slots. Even if you filled them all up with note cards and we're handwriting notes to people, right?
It's a
Um,
great idea.
it,
The
it,
mail's popular again. It's our link to the outside world. It's kind of funny.
100%. But the point of all this is pick up the phone.
Yeah.
This is when you need to be human and show your humanity. Call your database and say, "How are you doing? Is are you doing okay? Is there any need that is urgent that maybe I could use my influence to help solve? I'm
Right.
not going to act like I can fix everybody's problems, but I
But as
certainly,
realtors, we're resourceful. I mean, if we're nothing, we're resourceful, right?
yeah, I may have a database and I may say, hey, if you um, are stockpiled on toilet paper and I've got people that are out of toilet paper, could,
Yeah.
could we barter? You know?
This guy's got bullets and no toilet paper. You want to
Yeah.
trade?
Right. So
Ah,
using that
well,
humanity to call your people and just check in on people. You're not selling them on anything right now.
no,
And
there's time. There's time late. I've been telling everyone there's going to be time a little later to offer them, a biweekly email with what's happening to the values, the prices in their neighborhoods. Once activity picks up and once we move into the next inning of this, but right now, it's very inauthentic. I feel like after a disaster to ask everyone for business directly when during the disaster you aren't there solidifying your friendship and doing what a basic human would typically do, which is reach out to people.
no, Jeffrey, if I had a database of people, when I sold real estate, I remember there were those people that I sold them a house 3 years ago and I hadn't talked to them since. And I probably wouldn't pick up the phone out of fear of like them saying, where you been for the last 3 years?
Yeah.
Um,
You were like our son during that whole period of time,
yeah.
talking to us multiple times a day. You got us through all the challenge, through, a financial issue for us. And then you disappeared.
So what an easier phone call to make right now saying, hey, listen, I know we talked last when you purchased your house, but I just wanted to call and check on you. You've been on my mind.
Yeah.
Um, the human touch is an easy phone call to make. And that will be the reconnection point that'll fuel your business going forward. So it's not a bad.
Yeah. And people are answering.
Yeah.
Everyone's 90% of my calls are getting answered. And then if I
For some
text, it's
reason they're not busy,
generally,
right?
I'm sorry.
I said for some reason they're not as busy.
Yeah, what happened?
Yeah. So I think
Um,
the other thing is staying opportunity focused. Opportunity being, and you may have shared some of these tips because I've shared them with you offline. But like, I think every real estate agent needs to know the 5 people in their database that are positioned to win in this market, meaning
that's
uh,
great.
good credit, liquid cash, financial stability. You know, money is made when you buy low and sell high, right? We all understand that in the stock market, but real estate has a bigger swing, right?
Right. So what do you do? So who can be those people in your world that you can help the most right now?
There's a sad reality to our industry, which is when economic times happen, people end up doing short sales and REOs and foreclosures and um, people will sell their property in hardship, right? And that is a sad reality for a lot of people. And it's not inappropriate to think of the opportunity for others, because that's just the capital society, right? So if I was an agent, I would make sure I knew who the 5 people were in my database that might be aggressive to go buy property right now. And then at the same time, I want to polish up my skills on how to consult somebody that's coming from a place of hardship from a sensitive, professional manner, to be able to help navigate them through this, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
think about selling real estate in Detroit, Michigan over the last decade. You had to be the most sensitive professional real estate professional in the world, right? And they have
With a vast skill set. I mean,
yeah, they
going
have that
from
skill set nailed. Well,
right.
not we haven't had to nail that skill set in almost 10 years in the real estate industry. And I would bet, Jeffrey, half the people in your office weren't selling real estate 10 years ago, right?
It's
So
probably pretty close, yeah.
so it's time to go maybe have those conversations of what is a short sale? How do we
Yeah.
represent people?
How do you spell REO?
Yeah, exactly. So that's an opportunity focus. Do I think it's going to flood the market tomorrow? No. But
No,
it's
especially in our market. I think it's more of a steady thing. I think it's just going to be that we have a reality hitting people, and then their finances start to dry up slowly. Their job, the companies are trying, but they finally have to lay people off. Like it's usually, it's just like when we saw like Airbnb get disallowed in the Garden District, right? It
right.
didn't all stop day one. We just saw a slow trickle of houses start to come on
Sure.
the market that were
It's not
only
an abrupt
positioned
anything,
for
right? And our market's not going to abruptly stop and abruptly start. And
We're lacing up our shoes for a marathon here, not for a sprint.
exactly. But it's certainly responsible as a real estate professional to go brush up on what opportunity is and what my prospecting based business should look like.
So that sounds like it's time for us to raise our activity, not reduce it.
Okay.
I'll tell you, you in our coaching, you told me the last couple of weeks, remember, if you know you're about to get punched, the fear of the punch is usually worse than when it actually lands.
Yep.
Well, to continue that analogy, I feel like we got punched now. The punch is on, and last night at about 5:30, I let the bell ring to get a rest between rounds here. What do we, I think rest is important. I think it's important for us to get perspective on the weekend. That's why our video today is more kind of higher level perspective taking.
Sure.
But what should we be getting ready to do on Monday? We got to get our boots back on and hit the coal mine here.
Yeah.
What would you say are the best action steps we can take? So we're going to prospect, we're going to call everyone we know, right? Whether they live here or not, could buy real estate or not, just
everybody in
love
your base deserves a phone call, a text at minimum, maybe a recorded cell phone video just saying, hey, how are you? And a humanity touch, right? I would start with a humanity touch, and I would make sure I touched everybody. I would create, I would put myself back into relationship with as many people in my database as possible. And people are always like, oh, I got 400 people in my database. I would ask an agent tomorrow, okay, of those 400, how many did you actually have a live conversation with in the last 60 days? 99% of the time, it's like 20. So the reality is your circle of influence is about 20 people. You have a collection of 400 names, right? So it's time to grow that circle of influence with these calls. And I would love for every real estate agent in your office to show up tomorrow and say, yeah, I got 200 people in my database and I've talked to 175 of them in the last 30 days. And then that alone will be the rocket fuel as soon as this whole quarantine thing dissipates, right?
And it's never been a better time to do this. I mean, look, first of all, you just kind of granted us absolution on not taking care of our database for the last however many years we've been in real estate, right? So that's number one. Your sins are absolved. Number two, pie sync those things straight into command. If you're not doing that already, get an appointment with Adam or I, and we're going to walk you through it through the computer and show you how to do that. Number two. And then number three, you can literally sort by the last time you contacted them. So we've been doing that with all the agents in our office. I mean, if you run down my roster right now in command, it says that everyone's been contacted in the last 5 days.
Yeah.
It's actually the last 3 days, but that's the kind of thing to go through right now.
I think your point's very accurate. Is it's time to spend the whatever free time we all of a sudden have to pour back into our systems and models, right? Which in our world is command. And one of the cool byproducts of all this is people are probably reading their emails a little more than normal. They're probably, or not probably, they are on social media more than they normally are, which
a ton more.
We'll leave that to the experts, right? But if I were to go,
it's community right now. It's truly community.
Yeah, but I want to go get everybody into my database, get their contacts cleaned up. I want to make sure everybody's on a market snapshot. So a month ago, I might have sent them a neighborhood nurture, and they may have just brushed over it in their email. I might send that neighborhood nurture might show up tomorrow, and because they have a little extra free time, they're going to go look at it.
Yeah.
And
that's a good point.
I've created a little extra marketing, right? But I'm not going to do it without making sure I'm prospecting based as well.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
So this week I was reminded of something I learned a long time ago, which was the difference between buffalo and cows in a rainstorm. You know about buffaloes and cows?
In a thunderstorm?
Yeah. So
I'm gonna butcher. I know cows go to the farthest part of the fence.
Well, they get together, right? And they kind of do that thing where they get down close to the ground and they just stay quiet and low to the ground.
Yeah.
But buffaloes get kind of agitated, and they get in a line and they get organized, and then they run directly into the storm. And by running into the storm passes them faster.
Yep.
And they get through it faster.
That's a good.
So how do we act like a buffalo and not like a cow here?
Yeah.
That's our real opportunity.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Another way to think of this is you go to the beach, right? And the beach has waves. And a lot of people are just going to let the waves hit them. And then some people are going to surf the wave, right? Yeah. And create an experience out of it. The buffalo is the surfer and the cow lets the wave hit them, right? So
absolutely.
What you're asking me is how do we surf the wave? How do we show up as buffaloes, right? I think this is where you've got to sit. You got to wake up, go to work, go prospect to your database, go build your systems. Jeffrey, I sent you a list of 20 business ideas. We don't need to go through them all on this call. But I think one of the things I'd be doing is I'd be FaceTime live and walking through a property every day.
Absolutely. We just did a great class on that yesterday on our YouTube page. You can see that archive.
Perfect.
How to virtually sell stuff. We've been running lots of education, and we're going to continue to.
Perfect. And if you don't have a listing, there's got to be builder properties you can walk. Borrow a friend's listing. You can keep your social distance when it's just you and your phone walking through a property, right?
Absolutely.
And I think just being somebody of influence, showing people real estate, showing a human touch, being sensitive, knowing everybody's going to come from a different perspective on this, and offering those digital solutions to help people navigate this. You can do virtual showings, you can do FaceTime, you can do these Google Hangouts like we're doing, you can do Zoom, whatever is the best thing that you find.
Whatever you got.
Whatever you got.
Whatever works for your client.
But I think people need to see your face.
Yeah,
I think humanity is best built face to face, and we this experience that you and I are having right now, it has a realness to it for me over here and you over there, and I think that that's a
it definitely does.
Don't underestimate the power of face to face, or at best digital to digital.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, this week I've had some low moments, and every time what's brought it higher is getting on a call with our leadership team, getting on a call with an agent, and being on video and talking to them, and talking to friends over FaceTime. I mean, I just hit the FaceTime button every time I can when I call somebody now. I don't even try. And you know, we joke that in Hurricane Katrina, everyone learned how to text. I think in coronavirus time, we learned how to video call, and we're fine with it, and we're not all hiding our cameras anymore. And shoot, a lot of us have to like scrape the tape off of their cameras, because we've been trying to hide them for years.
Yeah, I remember this year on my birthday, or actually last year, because I'm about to have my birthday. I got a lot of text and I got a lot of Facebook messages. But I had one guy record, and I'm sure he recorded the same video for everybody he ever sent it to. But it was him fumbling through playing me "Happy Birthday" on a guitar, and "Happy Birthday." And he sent me that video, and it's stuck in my mind. I'm sitting here telling you about it. There is something magical that happens when you show your face to people, and you don't have to be pretty. I mean, it doesn't matter.
You don't even have to shave, apparently.
I don't normally, but that's okay.
I'm messing with you.
I gotcha. So I know we're running, we've been on this 35 minutes. Are we accomplishing what you want to accomplish on this call?
Yeah, I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
And I think it would be, look, I know you have a big role with Keller Williams, and you got to be careful what you say here. So I'll try to ask you something that doesn't get you going too much. But I've thought Zillow, Redfin, they're licking their chops right now as far as I'm concerned. Sure. They're cutting back all their services. If you look, all their home buying, instant offers, concierge services, etc., are getting cut back. Redfin, I mean, how they keep paying salaries to all their workers is going to be an interesting thing, because they lose money every quarter. But one of the, and I mean, they're field agents, but they don't have the opportunity we have in this early inning. I think their opportunity is in these latter innings when everything's changing a lot and they can send a lot of digital value, but they lack a human touch right now, which is their real Achilles heel, I think. What's your take? And what are they going to do? How are they going to come out of this ahead?
I think they're going to get hurt a lot by this. I don't know if I'm going to answer this the way you want me to answer it, but the foundation of a realtor is your relationships in a relationship-based business with a database. And what happened over the last 10 years is our industry, in my opinion, might have got a little lazy around building relationships and chose to spend money to supplement the skill set of building relationships. And I actually see this opportunity with the coronavirus as our opportunity to get back to being relationship experts. And do I think there's do I think Zillow and internet lead generation, does it play a role in helping the real estate industry? I do. There's some benefit there, obviously, because it puts leads and helps people fund their business. But I also think if you really understood the behind the scenes of it, you would take this moment to dive into what campaigns are inside Command. And if you even, let's say I spent $1,000 a month on Zillow, if I spent if I shifted that $1,000 to campaigns, what I would get out of that process would probably be tenfold what I got from Zillow. I just haven't figured out or understood it yet. And I think this that moment in time where, you know, it's just like, you know, you could referral business or relocation business. It's the easy button, but I pay a hefty cost for it, right? When if I really understood how to become a business person and build business, I think that changes my reality in the future, right?
Absolutely.
And, so do I think they play a role in our industry? Of course they do. Do I realize there's a natural threat to our industry because of that? Yeah, actually there is. That's the difference between the agent-enabled tech and the tech-enabled agent, right?
I actually see right now too, it's a huge opportunity, but
Yeah.
it can't be a missed opportunity. If we miss this opportunity, it's they're not stupid. They are smart enough to know that this is a chance for them to make a tectonic shift in consumer behavior. Crises often shift our society a lot more than just good weather does, right?
Sure.
So,
well, money, Wall Street money, right?
absolutely.
Wall
The
Street,
players change.
huh?
The players always change in these events.
Sure, they were very chest out, brave for a while there, and I think this is going to cause a lot of people to go, "Whoa,
Yeah.
wait a minute, should I be throwing money at this right now?" And do I think they'll respond differently after this? I do.
Yeah.
I think people will be a little more cautious on Wall Street, and which is, you know, history will tell us that. And I think if I'm a real estate agent today, I'm doubling down on prospecting. I'm doubling down on being a foundational relationship based agent. And I'm going to use technology to enhance my relationships. And I'm going to sell real estate through relationships.
Love that. I think that's a great note to end on, unless you have some other wisdom for us.
Perfect. Is that what you wanted to accomplish?
I'm thrilled.
In our coffee talk?
I went through my whole cup. I appreciate it, Brett.
You're
Thank you for your time, and I always appreciate it and appreciate our chats, and talk to you Tuesday.
Happy Saturday.
Get some rest to get ready for the bell to ring on Monday.
All right.
All right. Thanks a lot,
Later.
Brett. Bye.